What in your opinion, do you think or you believe the whole rock star today is just gone? You know, like yourself, Elvis, being on that echelon up there, where you can't even walk down the street and not be recognized. I just think it's just a bunch of cluster now, or maybe we're just getting old. I don't know. Maybe that's why. Just wanted your opinion on that.
Everything changed with Napster. Because when the majors collapsed, somebody asked me in an interview one time, they said, where all the great new frontmen come from? I said, there ain't any. Because when we were coming up, we had places to develop. We had clubs to play in as we were coming up. They say to learn any trade, it takes about 10,000 hours to learn a trade. Whether you're a carpenter or a plumber, it takes those 10,000 hours. Well, where does a kid go today to put in 10,000 hours? When I was in high school and I was playing clubs, when I was 15, I was as tall as I am now, and I had sideburns down to here. I developed pretty early, and I was playing with guys that were 10 years older than me, so whoever I was with, if I was with older guys, I looked older, so I could get into clubs, and they never carded me. So I was playing clubs on weekends, but we'd start at 8 in the evening and play till 4 in the morning. And that's, you develop your voice, you start learning songwriting, all that stuff. I don't think a network like that exists anymore. So think of that as like a farm system like you would have in baseball, where you got someplace to go to develop that talent. So in the scheme of all of that, with losing the majors on top of it, major labels, they were evil, oh man, like you wouldn't believe. But they did this great thing where they could farm this talent and develop the talent. So from the artist's perspective, you had to kind of ante up to get in the game, which meant you gave them the first 5 years of your life. It was a slavery contract. Yeah. It was worse than any real estate deal you've ever seen that went bad. I mean, it's often been said that if it wasn't for the state of California where that stuff was, and New York where that stuff was developed, that in a regular court, that stuff would be thrown out. Because if it was done in a real estate deal or any other business transaction, the stuff that's allowed in those contracts would never be allowed. But the lobbying groups for the labels was really strong, and you couldn't defeat them until they collapsed. But the one thing they did do is they gave you great new talent. It cost them a fortune to do it, but they could farm that stuff, and it was pretty cool. But circling back around to your question again, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, and it's a sad thing too, because I miss that stuff too. Again, I'm just an average guy. And I would like to have that stuff again. An interesting thing has happened though, which for us is a good thing. There was this window from the late 50s to about 1992. There was that window of rock and roll in there. You came out, you had established your career in that window, you're probably going to be able to go as long as you want to if you were successful while that window was open. That window is closed now. And there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. Some bands will be able to come out of that, bands like the Foo Fighters, stuff like that. But that's the exception, not the rule anymore. But if you were in that window, in that period, and you're still functioning, you'll probably be able to go as long as you want. Because think back, or I can think back to my grandparents' music. That would have not been something I would have really listened to. Nowadays, you have grandkids listening and enjoying their parents' music almost as much as the parents did, because there is nothing new coming behind it. Yeah. We were fortunate to be in that window, and after us, there ain't no more. So when the guy says to me, he goes, "Where's all the great new frontmen coming from?" I go, "There ain't any, because there's no place to farm them. When we're gone, we will be an extinct species." But every time technology changes, it revolutionizes show business. Think about vaudeville. Vaudeville was wiped out by radio and movies, silent movies. Then the talkies come along and wipe out silent movies. Then TV comes along and almost kills movies. So every time there's been a technological change, show business is radically shaken up by it. And we're kind of in the middle of one of those right now.